The quantum burst detector aboard Deep Space Station Hyperion lit up like a supernova, sending waves of alerts cascading through its neural networks. Lieutenant Aisha Patel jerked awake at her monitoring station, dark eyes widening as she processed the readings. In 15 years of deep space surveillance, she'd never seen energy signatures like these. "Captain Singh, you need to see this," she called out, fingers flying across holographic controls. The station's AI was already running pattern analysis, trying to make sense of the quantum fluctuations rippling across their sensors. Captain Raj Singh materialized beside her station moments later, his weathered face illuminated by the pulsing displays. "Talk to me, Lieutenant." "The burst started 90 seconds ago, sir. It's not natural. There's a clear pattern to the quantum oscillations. I think—" She hesitated, hardly daring to voice what the data suggested. "I think it's a distress signal." Singh leaned closer, studying the cascading numbers. After decades of searching the stars for signs of other civilizations, humanity had theorized about countless first contact scenarios. None had predicted it would come as a cry for help. Origin point: the maelstrom, sir, about 12 light-years out. Singh's breath caught. The maelstrom was exactly what its name suggested, a region of space where solar winds from 3 dying stars collided, creating a perpetual storm of radiation and plasma that made it nearly impossible to navigate. Humanity had only managed to study it thanks to centuries of experience dealing with the harsh radiation belts and solar storms of their own solar system. "Show me," he ordered. The main holoscreen blazed to life, displaying a 3-dimensional map of the maelstrom. At its heart, a single point pulsed with artificial regularity. "Messages repeating on a 6-second cycle," Aisha reported. "Our quantum computers are already working on translation. The basic mathematical principles seem universal enough that—" She broke off as strings of decoded text began appearing on her screen. "Emergency. Research vessel STARWEVER. Crew 89. Trapped dead in TLS-9 radiation storm. Shields failing. Cannot survive evacuation. Any species capable of surviving. 50 KRAD exposure. Please respond." 50,000 rats, Singh whispered. For most known forms of carbon-based life, that kind of radiation exposure would be almost instantly fatal. But humans had been dealing with radiation since they first split the atom. Their ships and suits were designed to handle conditions that would kill most organic beings. "Sir," Aisha's voice was quiet but intense, "there's more incoming. Their systems are giving us detailed technical data about their situation. These beings, they're calling themselves the Venari. They're not just technologically advanced. Their quantum manipulation capabilities are centuries ahead of ours. But their biology, let me guess, they evolved on a world with minimal radiation exposure, never developed the kinds of cellular repair mechanisms and redundant systems that life on Earth had to evolve just to survive our own sun's mood swings." "Exactly. Their technological sophistication let them leap into the stars before they developed the biological adaptations to survive their dangers. And now they're trapped in conditions their bodies simply can't handle." Singh straightened, decision already made. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command. And tell the crew of the radiation response vessel Daedalus to suit up. Looks like all those centuries evolving on a death world are about to pay off." Within hours, humanity's first official diplomatic message was dispatched toward the stranded alien vessel. "Venari Research Vessel Starweaver, this is Captain Raj Singh of the Earth Deep Space Station Hyperion. We've received your distress call. Our radiation response teams regularly operate in conditions exceeding 100 kRads. Help is coming. Hold on." As the Daedalus's engines flared to life, Singh couldn't help but appreciate the cosmic irony. Humanity had long feared they would be seen as primitive by more advanced alien species. Instead, the very environmental pressures that had made Earth such a challenging cradle for life had forged them into something unique, a species tough enough to venture where even their technological superiors feared to tread. Rescue operations estimates 6 hours to intercept, Asia reported. The Veneri are responding. Sir, they're transmitting their entire database to us. Scientific knowledge, cultural records, technological specifications, everything. They say it's insurance, in case they don't make it. Singh shook his head. Tell them to save their bandwidth. They're going to need that data themselves, because they're all going to survive to study it. Today, humanity shows the galaxy why coming from a death world isn't always a curse. The Daedalus vanish into faster-than-light transit, carrying Earth's finest radiation response team toward their date with history. In its wake, quantum signals continue to pulse between human and alien vessels, the beginning of a conversation that would reshape humanity's understanding of their place in the cosmos. The Daedalus cut through hyperspace like a scalpel through silk, its quantum drives humming with barely contained power. In the ship's briefing room, Commander Elena Santos studied the holographic representation of their target zone, her augmented eyes processing radiation patterns that would be invisible to normal human sight. The Veneri vessel is here, she gestured, highlighting a crystalline structure that seemed to float in the heart of the simulation. Their quantum shielding technology is incredible, like nothing we've ever seen, but it's failing under the Maelstrom's assault. Her rescue team, 12 of humanity's finest radiation response specialists, watched intently. Each had been chosen not just for their technical skills, but for their genetic adaptations. Most came from families that had worked in space for generations, their bodies enhanced both naturally and artificially to withstand conditions that would kill unmodified humans. Their ship's architecture is based on crystalline matrices, Dr. Marcus Chen, their xenophysicist, explained. Beautiful and incredibly efficient for quantum computing and FTL travel, but fragile under intense radiation stress. The Maelstrom is literally causing their hull to decrystallize. What about the Veneri themselves? Asked Sarah O'Neill, lead rescue specialist. The hologram shifted, displaying the alien physiology. Gasps echoed through the room. The Veneri were living works of art, their bodies semi-transparent, internal structures arranged in geometric patterns that seemed to follow the golden ratio. Neural pathways glowed with bioluminescent quantum signals, and their entire cellular structure appeared to be based on crystalline matrices rather than carbon chains. They evolved on a world sheltered by 3 layers of magnetic fields. Marcus continued. Their bodies are perfectly engineered for processing and manipulating quantum information, but they have almost no natural radiation resistance. Even our lowest-level radiation suits would be lethal to them. The shielding itself produces more radiation than their bodies can handle. Elena nodded grimly. Which is why they can't evacuate, even with their own survival suits. The very tools we use to protect ourselves would kill them. But that's also why we're uniquely qualified to help. She pulled up another display, showing the radiation levels around the Starweaver. These readings would be fatal to most species, but thanks to our evolutionary history and technological adaptations, they're within our operational parameters. Earth's Van Allen belts produce similar conditions during solar maxima. We've been dealing with this kind of environment since before we left our own atmosphere. Hard to believe they're centuries ahead of us technologically, Sarah mused. Their quantum engineering makes our best tech look primitive. Different evolutionary pressures breed different kinds of advancement, Elena replied. They evolved in an environment that let them focus on manipulating the quantum realm. We evolved in one that forced us to become tough enough to survive almost anywhere. Today, both our species' paths converge. The ship's AI interrupted with a soft chime. Commander, we're approaching the Maelstrom's outer boundary. Radiation levels are rising. Elena straightened. All right, people, this is what we've trained for. Humanity's first official contact with an alien species is going to be us pulling off the kind of rescue operation they thought was impossible. Let's show them why Earth's children don't fear the storm. The team dispersed to their stations as the Daedalus's quantum shields engage. Through the ship's viewports, the maelstrom became visible, a churning ocean of plasma and radiation that would have looked at home in Earth's early history, when their young planet was still being forged in stellar fire. As final preparations were made, Alina received a quantum burst from the Starweaver. The translation matrix rendered it in crisp text. Your vessel's approach vector is impossible. The radiation levels would destroy any organic nervous system. Please confirm nature of rescue attempt. Alina smiled as she composed her response. Confirmed, Starweaver. We're approaching at full speed. What you consider impossible, we call Tuesday. Prepare for contact in 40 minutes. In the loading bay, her team was already running final checks on their radiation suits, hulking constructs of advanced polymers, and quantum shielding that looked primitive compared to Venari technology, but would let them operate in conditions that would reduce most organic matter to its component atoms. The Daedalus plunged deeper into the maelstrom, its human crew calmly managing radiation levels that their alien rescuees had believed would render any rescue impossible. In the storm's heart, the crystalline form of the Starweaver waited, its crew about to learn that sometimes the harshest cradle produces the strongest children. The maelstrom lived up to its name. Streams of ionized particles twisted around the Daedalus like luminous serpents, while radiation alerts chimed with metronomic regularity. In the ship's airlock, Commander Alina Santos performed final checks on her team's radiation suits, each movement precise despite the crushing time pressure. Starweaver's quantum shields are at 18%, Marcus reported through the comm. Their crystalline hull structure is showing microscopic fractures. We've got maybe 30 minutes before catastrophic failure. Alina sealed her helmet, checking the heads-up display that tracked radiation exposure. Copy that. Team 1, with me. Team 2, stand by for backup. She turned to face her three companions, Sarah O'Neill, Dr. James Walker, and technical specialist Kai Chen. Remember, we're not just performing a rescue. We're making history. The airlock cycled, and they stepped into the storm. Their suits' magnetic boots kept them anchored to the Daedalus's hull as they prepared the quantum tether, a piece of human technology that looked absurdly crude next to the Venari ship's crystalline elegance, but would let them cross the 100 meters of storm-racked space between the vessels. Radiation's actually worse than predicted, Kai noted, checking his instruments. We're looking at 70,000 rads out here. Good thing we grew up on a death world. The team's dark humor was interrupted by a new transmission from the Starweaver. Alina's suit translated the quantum pulses into text. Your external activity is registering as impossible. Our sensors must be malfunctioning. No organic beings could survive direct exposure to these conditions. Oh, we're very organic, Alina transmitted back as she secured the tether. Just built a little tougher than most. Preparing for direct contact. Suggest you clear your primary airlock for our arrival. The crossing was harrowing. Even with their advanced suits and genetic adaptations, the storm's fury was palpable. Radiation levels spiked and dropped unpredictably as solar winds collided and reformed around them. Twice they had to pause as particularly intense waves of particles washed over them, their suits' processors working overtime to maintain protective fields. Finally, they'd reached the Starweaver's hull. Up close, the crystalline material was even more remarkable. Quantum information seemed to flow through it like blood through veins, though the patterns were increasingly chaotic as the ship's systems failed. Beginning cut, Kai announced, activating their molecular disassembler. The tool had been specifically calibrated to the Venari ship's unique molecular structure, creating an opening without compromising the surrounding material. Within minutes, they had access to the ship's primary airlock. The inner door opened to reveal their first direct view of the Venari. The aliens were even more striking in person, their crystalline bodies pulsing with internal light, geometric patterns shifting in response to their emotional states. Currently, those patterns suggested a mixture of fear and disbelief. Impossible, the nearest Venari transmitted, their quantum neural patterns creating directly translated speech in the human suits. Your radiation exposure levels, you should be dead. That's humanity for you, Alina replied, running her scanner over the airlock seal. We've got a habit of doing the impossible. Now let's focus on getting your people out of here. Your ship's core is going critical. The rescue operation shifted into high gear. The Venari crew, despite their advanced intelligence, found themselves following the humans' lead. They watched in amazement as their rescuers efficiently organized evacuation groups, rigging temporary quantum shields to protect the Venari during their brief exposure to the maelstrom. Your bodies, one of the Venari scientists transmitted as they helped secure them for transport. The radiation isn't just failing to kill you. You're actively processing it, adapting to it. How? Earth sits in a cosmic shooting gallery, Sarah explained as she worked. Solar flares, cosmic rays, background radiation. We evolved with all of it. Our cells learned to repair radiation damage before we even developed tool use. These suits, they're just helping what our bodies already know how to do. A violent shudder ran through the Starweaver structure. Hull integrity at 12%, Marcus warned through the comm. That last radiation wave accelerated the degradation. You've got 10 minutes max. Elena made a quick decision. Change of plans. We're moving everyone now. Kai, set up the emergency quantum bubble. Sarah, James, get the crew lined up. We're doing this in one shot. What followed was a desperate race against time. The human team deployed a technology that must have seemed primitive to the Venari, a large-scale quantum field generator that created a protected corridor between the ships. But it worked, allowing them to evacuate the entire crew in a fraction of the time individual crossings would have taken. The last group was barely aboard the Daedalus when the Starweaver's quantum core finally failed. The crystalline ship began to break apart, its beautiful structure dissolving in the maelstrom's fury. But its crew was safe, watching from the Daedalus's observation deck as their vessel succumbed to the storm. 89 crew, 0 casualties, Elena reported to Captain Singh back on Hyperion. The Venari are safe. She paused, glancing at their rescued allies, who were still struggling to process how their salvation had come from a species they would have considered primitive mere hours ago. Though I think we've given them quite a lot to think about. As have you given us, the Venari ship's captain transmitted. We thought ourselves advanced, having mastered the quantum realm. But you have mastered something far more fundamental, survival itself. Perhaps that is the greater achievement. The Daedalus turned its bow toward home, carrying its mixed crew of humans and Venari out of the storm. Behind them, the maelstrom raged on, indifferent to the small drama that had played out in its depths. A drama that had just rewritten the relationship between two species and perhaps the future of galactic civilization itself. The Daedalus's medical bay hummed with activity as Dr. James Walker studied the holographic readouts floating above his workstation. Beside him, a Venari physiologist named Zix watched with crystalline features shifted in patterns that the translation matrix interpreted as intense curiosity. Fascinating, Zix transmitted, neural patterns pulsing with excitement. Your cellular structure, the redundant repair mechanisms, the radiation-resistant proteins, even your DNA itself has protective elements we've never seen before. All of this evolved naturally. James nodded, pulling up a comparison display showing human and Venari cellular structures side by side. Earth's early atmosphere didn't block much radiation. Life either adapted or died. What you're seeing is the result of billions of years of environmental pressure. In the adjacent recovery ward, Commander Elena Santos was debriefing with both Captain Singh via Quantum Link and Ralith, the Venari captain. The alien leader's geometric form shifted between patterns of deep thought and what seemed like concern. Our preliminary analysis of your evolutionary history is troubling, Ralith transmitted. The conditions you describe as normal on Earth would be classified as catastrophic on most known life-bearing worlds. Your solar radiation levels alone would sterilize most planets. We've found that adversity breeds innovation, Elena replied. Humanity didn't just survive Earth's challenges. We were forged by them. Each environmental pressure became a stepping stone to greater resilience. The Venari captain's patterns shifted to what the translation matrix suggested was a mix of awe and unease. Your species casually operates in conditions that would kill most known forms of life. The radiation suit I'm wearing now produces more ambient energy than our entire planetary defense system. Yet you show no signs of discomfort. That's actually why I asked for this meeting, James interjected, bringing up new data streams. The biological analysis we've done reveals something extraordinary. The Venari achieved technological advancement far beyond humanity's current level because you could focus all your evolutionary energy on neural and quantum development. Your minds are incredible. Quantum computers made manifest in biological form. He paused, letting the implications sink in. But there was a trade-off. You never had to develop the kind of physical resilience that Earth life takes for granted. Your bodies are perfect for processing quantum information, but fragile in ways that would make survival on Earth impossible. While we, Elena continued, evolved in conditions that forced us to become tough first and foremost. Our technological development might have been slower, but we built it on a foundation of pure survival capability. We had to master radiation protection just to leave our own atmosphere. Captain Singh's holographic form nodded thoughtfully. It's not just about the rescue anymore, is it? This is about the fundamental nature of species development in our galaxy. Precisely, Raleth transmitted. We Venari have explored only the safest regions of space, building our civilization in environments that could support our sensitive physical forms. We assumed this was the only path to advancement. But you humans, the alien captain's patterns shifted to something the Matrix couldn't quite translate. You turned your harsh cradle into an advantage. The conversation was interrupted by an alert from the ship's sensors. They were passing through another radiation wave, though far less intense than those in the Maelstrom's heart. The Venari crew tensed instinctively, but their human rescuers barely seemed to notice. The implications are staggering, Zixeth transmitted, moving to examine another set of biological scans. Your adaptations don't just let you survive in hostile environments. They've made you uniquely suited to explore parts of the galaxy most species have to avoid entirely. And maybe that's the point, Elena mused. The galaxy isn't uniform. Different environments will produce different evolutionary paths. The Venari mastered quantum physics because they could focus on pure technological advancement. We mastered survival because we had to. Perhaps true galactic civilization needs both. James expanded the holographic display, showing the vast map of known space the Venari had shared. Look at all these regions marked as hazardous or uninhabitable in your charts. To us, most of them are challenging but workable. How many resources, how many discoveries might be waiting in zones that other species can't safely reach? A partnership, Raleth transmitted, patterns shifting to what was clearly excitement. Your physical resilience combined with our quantum technology. Together, we could explore regions of space that neither of us could safely access alone. The implications hung in the air like a tangible force. What had started as a simple rescue operation was rapidly evolving into something far more significant, the foundation of a relationship that could reshape both species' understanding of their place in the cosmos. 1 month after the rescue, Deep Space Station Hyperion had been transformed. The vast observation deck now hosted a remarkable sight. Humans and Venari working side by side, their contrasting forms highlighted against the backdrop of stars. Captain Singh stood with Commander Santos, watching as Dr. Walker and Zixeth collaborated on a holographic simulation of hybrid shielding technology. The Venari Council's proposal arrived this morning, Singh said quietly. They're offering us full access to their quantum technology database in exchange for our radiation handling expertise. It's more than a trade agreement. They're talking about joint exploration missions. Elena nodded, watching as a Venari engineer's crystalline form shifted in patterns of excitement while examining the schematics of a human radiation suit. They've already helped us improve our quantum shielding by 300%. Combined with our natural resilience, we'll be able to explore regions of space that were previously off-limits to both species. It's more than that. A new voice transmitted. They turned to find Raleth approaching, the Veneri captain's form glowing with complex patterns that the translation matrix now recognized as intellectual enthusiasm. Your species has forced us to confront our own limitations and the assumptions that created them. The alien captain gestured toward a massive stellar map dominating one wall. Nearly 40% of the charted regions were marked in red, areas the Veneri had classified as too dangerous for exploration. But overlaid on these were new indicators showing human survival thresholds, painting a very different picture of accessible space. We thought we were advanced, Raleth continued, but we had limited ourselves to the safest paths through the cosmos. Your existence proves that there are other ways to achieve greatness. Sometimes, the harshest conditions produce the most remarkable capabilities. The Crucible Theory. Dr. Walker joined them, carrying a data crystal containing the latest research results. That's what we're calling it. The idea that evolutionary pressures don't just create challenges, they create opportunities. The very things that made Earth seem like a death world to you also made us uniquely suited for deep space exploration. The data crystal projected its contents, showing side-by-side comparisons of human and Veneri biology adapting to various environments. The differences were striking, but so were the complementary aspects of their capabilities. We're already seeing practical applications, Alina added. The Veneri's quantum technology combined with our radiation handling techniques has produced possibilities neither of us imagined. The prototype hybrid ships will be able to explore the galaxy's most extreme environments safely. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Raleth transmitted, patterns shifting to something deeper, more contemplative. We thought first contact would be about finding similarities between species. Instead, it's our differences that make us strongest together. An alert chimed softly. Another research vessel was arriving. But unlike the desperate approach of the Starweaver, this was a planned arrival. The ship that emerged from quantum space was something entirely new. A hybrid vessel, its crystalline quantum core protected by human-designed radiation shielding, crewed by both species. The Horizon, Singh said proudly. First of her class, designed to go places neither of our species could reach alone. They watched as the ship settled into its dock, its very existence a testament to how much had changed in just 1 month. What had started as a rescue mission had evolved into something far more profound, a partnership that promised to unlock the galaxy's deepest secrets. You know what the most interesting part is. Dr. Walker mused, examining new data streams from the horizon. We're already picking up signals from other species in some of these dangerous regions. Turns out we're not the only ones who evolved in harsh conditions. There's a whole category of civilizations out there that the Veneri never encountered because they couldn't survive the journey to make contact. A galaxy of crucibles, Alina smiled, each forging life in different ways. And now we can reach them all. As if to emphasize her words, a new alert sounded. Another signal, from deep in what the Veneri had once classified as forbidden space. But this time, they were ready. This time, humanity and the Veneri would answer the call together, each bringing their unique strengths to whatever challenges awaited. The ancestors who had struggled to survive Earth's harsh conditions could never have imagined that their adaptations would one day make their descendants the perfect bridge between the galaxy's sheltered and storm-forged children. But as the Horizon prepared for its first mission, carrying the combined knowledge and capabilities of two very different species, one thing was clear. The very pressures that had made Earth seem like a death world had actually been preparing humanity for this moment all along. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about showing the galaxy that sometimes the hardest paths lead to the greatest destinations, and that true strength lies not in avoiding challenges, but in learning to overcome them together.